Brenton, look at that over there.
Yeah, Trainer Nathan, what's up?
Look, I think I spotted a wild Pokemon.
Oh, I haven't seen this one before. Let's check the Pokedex.
That is a Brenton, a rare Pokemon of the Banter type. Its weaknesses are having insults thrown about it and the movie Cats. Whoa, look at that one.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, maybe we should throw something at it, try to catch it.
Yeah, I've got this hammer.
Yeah, cool. Brenton. So,
I'm gonna try and do an opening that we tried to do like 2 weeks ago and see if it actually works. And we'll see if we stay on topic.
Sure.
When we did our bloody Bond episode, I brought up high school formals because I have a couple of good stories from high school formals, Brenton, that I wanted to share in this podcast. And I'm sure you do too, because you know they were a fun time, high school formals, weren't they?
They were good times.
Yeah. In Australia, we don't have a thing called prom. We have this weird thing where, like, for our final 3 years of high school, years 10, 11, and 12, we had a thing called, like, dinner dance, and then year 11 went mocktails night, and then year 12 was formal. And out of all of it, actually, I love mocktails night the most, because I had friends who genuinely did not know that mocktails didn't have alcohol in it.
Really?
So
that's the kind of in the name.
I could name and shame, and I'm not going to. But I had a few friends, like not just one. I had a few friends who thought like they were going to be cocktails, but just a special type of cocktail. So I remember rocking up. We went to some golf club, and there was like this red carpet, and we picked up the drink, and I was with a friend, and they tried to guzzle it down. They're like, "This doesn't taste like alcohol." We were 16, and I'm like, "There's a reason for that."
Yeah, you're gonna kick yourself.
yeah. I remember that. I remember one of the girls trying to snuggle in like a flask. That was fun. Wow. That was really, really fun. I remember because like there was this big ballroom that we were all hanging about in, and there was like this kind of little outside area that's normally for like the smokers, but we're all 16. So all the cool kids who just didn't want to be a part of it went outside. Do you remember this?
I do remember this.
Yeah, I remember I went outside and there was some people from our grade, like Chico and Liam, all those kind of boys. I remember walking outside with them, and I remember just their hands just like were positioned in a way that they wished they had a dart. So like, they're all kind of having these conversations, but they were like holding up their hands to their faces, almost as if there was like a cigarette missing, and you could tell they just really wanted to smoke.
Yeah, they were slaves to the environment, but they couldn't do anything about it.
I know, it was quite sad, but yeah. Do you remember asking out your formal date for year 12?
Yeah, I do.
What was that like for you?
Well, so here's the thing, and you'll remember this well, that there was a time around the start of year 11 that, and I don't know who started it. Someone asked someone. It was like a
random weekday at school, just in the yeah.
It was just someone said, "Hey, look. You, me, we're going to formal together. Is that cool?" And the other person said, "Yeah, that's totally cool." And then it was like a Mexican wave that went through the whole grade of people going, "Shit, it's on like Donkey Kong."
It was crazy. I remember like the first like period 1 started, and like I just through the grapevine, I just remember like people like whispering to each other in class. It's like that scene in a movie where like there's been like a zombie epidemic, and so like, everyone's like checking their phones and everyone's like hushing to each other. And then I remember like by the time morning tea came around, the people were sprinting in all directions. It was like almost an apocalypse. Like people were grabbing supplies, they were just pairing up, going, "All right, you," and it was just everyone's making a mad dash.
This is it. Yeah.
This is it. I remember there was one teacher who was privy to it. I think it was Parker, and he was just. I remember him standing in the center of the courtyard, like some confused old man, like what? Almost like, what have I done? And it was just like surrounded by couples running in all directions.
Yeah, I remember. So basically, I remember on the day that went down, everyone started asking anyone and everyone to formal, and
there were a lot of no's as well that day. There was a lot of people who didn't get partners.
Yeah, I remember thinking that. I really hadn't like settled in my head who I wanted to go with.
I imagine like you have that thing where in like, you know, in Summer Heights High, how Jamae has like her adopted people overseas, her sponsors.
Oh my God.
And she like votes them off each week. I like to think that you did that with your potential formal partners. Like,
I will tell you right now, I did not do that. It was just a moment. It was a moment like the person that I ended up asking was the first person I thought of, and then I was like, oh, I'm going to sleep on this. And I don't know why I decided that, but I was just like, you're just nervous about this
I
shit.
can
And you're like,
imagine you just sitting by your bed, just like meditating with some tea, just like, is this the right move? Like,
yeah, like I like, like it was the right decision. And it was like my impulse was totally on point. It was just, I don't know. I don't even know. It's just, I guess nerves take hold of you to a certain degree, and you're like, I'm gonna overthink this to the ninth degree. Anyway, so basically what happened was, I remember that first thing the next morning, I'm heading to first period, and this person and I both had the same class on, and I popped the question, as they say.
So you got married?
Yeah, we're engaged. We've been engaged for the past few years. Yeah, it's been.
That's where you got that ring from. I knew it.
Yeah. It's been it hasn't been it hasn't been straightforward. I mean, since it's been over 5 years since then, but it will happen one day. Anyway, so I pop the question down on one knee. No, and
did you ask her to formal, and then did you start singing "Take Me to the Church"? Like, get me to the church, get me to the formal on time, just skipping around school.
And then she rejected me on the spot. No, I remember I had this thought. I was like, the night before, I was like, it'd be really good if I did something like, like a romantic gesture, like if I'd got like some chocolates or like a small.
Did you bribe your date?
Token. No, I didn't. I see. This is the thing. I decided not to for a couple of reasons. One, because I didn't want to come across one that I was bribing them. Like, I was like, please.
You rock up with like a bar of gold, like.
Yeah, you know what? It's formal. Like, it's just a formal. Like, and it's like you don't want to come across as like some desperate loner. Like, please.
Oh, it would be so funny if you gave her like a box of favorites, but you'd already picked out the ones that you liked, so it's just like the leftovers.
Oh my god, yeah, I've taken all the Turkish delights. No, but in retrospect, I said that was that thought process at the time, but I kind of regret not doing that because it just would have been nice to do. But anyway,
but you're all happy together now.
Oh, like,
did she say yes straight away, or was it like an awkward pause?
So this was the thing. She was ecstatic.
Oh.
She was ecstatic. She was like, "Oh my god, I was hoping you'd ask me this. I was like praying that you'd ask me this." Like, and I was just like, "Oh well, that works out well for everyone." And then she said,
I wish you said that to her face. Like, well, this works well for everyone. You're like nodding, or like you're shaking hands with everyone around you, like, like you just passed a government bill, like.
And then she goes to me, "Oh, and I knew these other people that really wanted to go with you." And then I went,
"Oh,
hold on a hot second." Like,
you're like other people,
and I was like, "Oh, who was that?" And then she said, "Oh, I'm not going to tell you now." I said, "Why not?" She's like, "Oh, because it might be awkward and whatever." And I was like, "Fuck off! I want to know."
And then you uninvited her then and there, just like you get it back once you start dropping names.
No, like I still to this day I don't know who, but. And it wasn't even like
hatching like a diabolical plan to find out.
It wasn't
she's actually in the room next door waiting to be waterboarded. Like,
it was like I wasn't even that like I really wanted to know so I could like dump the person I'd asked and then move on. Like I was. No, it was definitely
just purely for your ego, wasn't it?
It's just like, exactly, Nathan. You know me too well, and yeah. Okay. Anyway, so we ended up going to the formal, and but before we get into that, how did your we've never discussed this. In terms of like that day in year 11, what your side of the story was?
Oh, mine was very uneventful because I had been very, very best friends with the girl since like I was 6 months old, called Sarah, and in like primary school, I think the topic of conversation came up, and like we just both looked at each other and we're just like, oh yeah, we'll take each other when the day comes. And like we had that conversation when we were like 8. So I thought I was like 7 years ahead of this panic day, or we just chatted about it before. And then like we never brought it up again. And then because we both didn't really care about formal. And then the day came where everyone was asking each other. And then I remember thinking at the back of my head, oh, that's right, I did ask Sarah way back when. And then I remember sending her a text. This sounds more dramatic actually now I say this out loud. But I sent her a text saying Hungry Jack's 3:30. And we never met at Hungry Jack's, so I just sent her a text saying Hungry Jack's 3:30. She's like, yeah. And so after school, we just walked downstairs to the nearest Hungry Jack's, which is Australia's Burger King. And then we sat at this like shitty little plastic booth, and I got some chips, and we were just sharing some chips. And I'm like, so you know that formal thing that happened today? She's like, yeah. I'm like, we're still going together, right? And she's like, yes, we are. And I'm like, great, that's awesome. And then that was it.
See, but you took her to Hungry Jack's.
I took her out. I got her chips, motherfucker.
I just took
so
I just took my partner to first period. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. and now we're married.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, but
that's formal.
Yeah, and I guess well, I reckon this is a prologue that I think can continue on, because then we can actually go into the formal night. But we've discussed today how we asked our dates
asking out formal dates.
Yeah.
By the way, we had lots of girls ask guys as well. So I'm surprised that your girl didn't ask you. I mean, I can understand there's still that kind of societal thing, but we had a bunch of girls ask guys that same day as well, which was lovely.
Yeah.
But yeah,
which is awesome. Yeah.
So
yeah, there you go. The story will continue.
The story will continue. It's like at the end of a Pokemon episode. It's like, you know when it says the story will continue, and it never ends. But speaking of Pokemon,
welcome to Classic Movie Banter, that podcast where we review movies that are 20 years or older, which makes them classics. I'm Brenton, and this is
Nathan Chu. And we're here to review some movies.
We're here to review some movies that are 20 years older. Tell you whether they're good, whether they're shit, or whether they're somewhere in between. And we throw in some banter in there for some good measure.
We do.
Talk about formal dates, etc. You know
we
us.
do. What a time.
And if you don't, hi.
all more power to you. Brenton, what a time to be alive, you know? We could be talking about Avengers Endgame and all of that. We could be talking about Detective Pikachu that drops this week. But instead, we're looking back, Brenton, as we always do, to the original Pokemon film that started it all. Are you excited for this?
Pokemon, the first movie, as they call it.
You know what? This is very presumptuous that they called it. Actually, no, I'll get that into title talk. But I must say, it is
the full title, what they called it. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a little bit presumptuous that they had hoped this would do well. Obviously, it was going to do well, but calling it the first movie. Imagine if they called I don't know, Hunger Games, the first movie. You know.
But you know what's interesting is that with this film is that's not the full title. The full title
No, it's not. It goes longer.
Yeah, and I think the full title is even more presumptuous because it's Mewtwo Strikes Back.
Should we just do title talk right now?
Why not? Welcome to Title Talk, the section where we talk about the film's title. Mewtwo Strikes Back, Empire Strikes Back. Just stealing that little nugget. Is it a Star
Wars thing? Because he does literally strike back in the movie. So does he though? Oh no, he does. The opening scene he strikes back.
He does.
Yeah.
But good title? Not really.
I wouldn't have called it Pokemon the first movie. I just would have called it maybe the Pokemon movie or Mewtwo Faces Existentialism.
Yeah. That'll hook the kids in. Look, this is Pokemon. This was gonna sell shitloads. It didn't.
Oh yeah.
It could have. Yeah.
By the way, Detective Pikachu is also gonna sell shitloads.
It's gonna fucking melt everything.
Pikachu's gonna make at least $1 billion, and that's if it's shitty. If it's good, it'll make $2 billion.
Dude, there's nothing that sells more than fucking Pokemon. It's insane.
No,
it's crazy.
It is insane. It is absolutely insane. So, it does, we're doing this movie because, the new Pokemon movie comes out this week, and for Brenton and I, it's quite an iconic film. You've seen this before, right?
I have seen this before when I was very young.
Yes. I think a lot of children our generation probably saw this when they were growing up. This is our Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This is our Transformers, Only 2000s kids will remember this.
Yes. Yeah. That's right.
Even though it came out mid-90s. So, yeah. Should we, Brenton? I want you to step into my office. We're in Tokyo, Japan, and you're a Tokyo, Japan executive because I want to pitch to you Pokemon the first movie.
Sure. Pitch away.
All right. Konnichiwa, haraya gozaimasu. Nice to meet you, Mr. Japanese producer. Look, hello. All right. Wow, you're really Japanese. We could probably do a segment. That segment? What's the most Japanese things happen in this movie? We should bring that back. Anyway,
totally.
The pitch. Okay. I'm going to pitch this to you as if you've never heard of Pokemon, because I feel like there's a lot of our listeners who may have never heard of Pokemon. Actually, they would have heard of it, but maybe they don't know the premise of Pokemon.
Sure, yeah.
All right. So, Pokemon. Okay, imagine a world. Imagine a world where wild animals have special abilities. So, a mouse can suddenly shoot lightning, and I don't know, there's dragons. And a bird has 2 heads on its head instead of 2. So imagine a world with all these different weird wild animals, and they're called Pokemon. which is the shortened Japanese phrase pocket monsters. And so instead of like, and there's millions of them. They're roaming around the planet. The whole world is practically a zoo or a reserve. And humans, upon discovering these animals with abilities, have invented these kind of portable cages called Pokeballs, which they trap these animals in, and then rather than harness these abilities for the improvement of society, they instead to just use these magical creatures for a battle arena. And so young children are encouraged early on in their society to capture as many of these Pokemon as you could. And if you capture all of them, then and you train them up and you beat another Pokemon's butt, then you're a Pokemon master. So this movie, it follows a child called Ash, who's 12, and his friends Misty and Brock, and they've been, using Pokemon for a while. When suddenly they get an invitation, Brenton, to a tournament on a mysterious island. And at the same time, another Pokemon by the name of Mewtwo has gained intelligent consciousness and is out for revenge against its creators. Welcome to Pokemon the first movie.
Wow.
I think that wasn't bad. I think
that's a pretty good pitch. That was a good pitch. Yeah.
I think that helps anyone who doesn't know anything about Pokemon.
Sure. That was a great pitch.
Thank you.
Well done. So let's start by discussing our history with Pokemon.
Yeah. Because this is an interesting thing to put in our podcast canon, because I'm sure if you went to any proper film critic and you say, name, the classics, I'm sure none of them would spurt out Pokemon the first movie.
Yeah, sure. But I gotta say, like, in terms of, like, the anime and the films, when I was younger, they were probably, like, they were the third thing. It was, like, the third thing to, like, this, like, trio of things. It was, like, the thing that came first was obviously the games on the Game Boy and whatnot for me.
Game Boy Color.
and then obviously next there was the trading card game as well that you could collect.
Which out of the three, I was the closest with.
Yeah, okay. Courtney and I collected all of the first 151, like out of the cards.
All the first generation,
we had everything. And then I love the anime. Like I remember loving the anime as a kid and thinking it was awesome. This first movie I've seen it once before. I saw it recently again. And this wasn't my favorite of the film. Like I remember it wasn't my favorite of the films. There's one that was like the second generation film.
Oh, is that the one with Lugia with like Slowking?
Yeah.
And the three birds? Yeah. I prefer the second movie as well.
So
although I actually have a really soft spot for the third movie as well with Entei. I really love that film.
Yeah.
And the Unknown?
I love totally.
It's a good film.
So that's
we have a bias. We have a very inherent bias because
we know Pokemon. It was our generation that Pokemon Mania like hit fucking hard.
Yeah.
I've played most of the games. Like
I have not touched a Pokemon game.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. I love the Pokemon games.
There you go.
Like up until very recently, like I've got the most recent Let's Go Eevee game because fuck Pikachu, so like I'm quite.
So long story short, we're in it. We're in this franchise. We're coming in with a bias. Like.
At the same time, I'm not a super fan. I'm not one of those guys that like buys the games and then like puts like 200 plus hours into them and it spends their time like breeding to get like the perfect like mutagens, whatever the fucking like make.
I remember
in
high school.
Pokemon.
I remember people bringing their Game Boys to school with Pokemon on it. I remember one kid hacked a calculator, like a graphics calculator, and put Pokemon on it.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. And so like this thing permeated all parts of my life. And like I remember watching the game and thinking like it's just literally the same game they keep releasing every year. I didn't really see the appeal, but for some reason just the animation of these creatures and just the way they're presented, they're just addictive. They're the cocaine of children's entertainment.
Sure. It is. Can't argue with that. So, let's talk about this film then.
Yes. Pokemon the first movie, what do you think about it? Watching it now, does it hold up?
It's not great, is it?
Like no, I hate saying it. No, actually no, I did love it. Even with my bias, I really loved watching it.
It's fun. It's a fun watch. It's just not a great movie, is my point.
No, it's not a good film. It really isn't a good film, but I love it regardless of it. I love it to death. Even if I try to remove my bias, I still love it for a couple reasons.
Sure. Sure.
I love it because it's very well paced. It might be the best well paced film I think I've ever seen.
Really? Wow. Yeah.
And just because it goes so quick and a good quick, and I feel like there's not a scene wasted in every scene that's in there. Maybe I am talking from a point of bias because I just giggle so much throughout this movie because it just makes me laugh so much. I say the word stupid a lot on this podcast, but I do think this is probably the stupidest film we've reviewed.
It's pretty stupid.
It is pretty dumb. It is so dumb, but I do love it for it, you know?
Totally, yeah.
Yeah. This is an animated film. We haven't done a Japanese animated film in a while. What do you think of the voice acting in this?
It's alright. It's not bad. Like, I mean, like, a few of the background and side characters kind of suck, to be honest. So, like...
Who? Can you name names and shame?
yeah, I can. The nurse and the police officer, and like, I just think they're a bit shit. Like, to be honest.
Yeah. And it's funny because this criticism will extend to the TV series because this is just literally copy and pasted the same format as the TV show. Even the resolution, like when we were watching this, it was like bloody like 5:1 or whatever it is. Like,
yeah. I think the main characters are okay. Like, I think obviously Mewtwo and Ash are pretty on point. Team Rocket's
standouts, yeah.
Team Rocket's fun. Like, Team Rocket's so much fun in terms of their performances.
So,
and
I want to keep the people in mind who don't know much about Pokemon. So as this little boy Ash continues to collect Pokemon, there's like a villain of the week, but it's just always the same villains. And it's like these two people, this couple, and then well, not really a couple, but anyway, this guy and this girl and their pet cat called Meowth, who try and foil their plans. And they're pretty great.
They're pretty great. Like, a lot of the stupidity in this film, I think, actually comes from them. And
yeah.
They're like Meowth's like puns and shit. And,
oh my god.
Oh god.
I love Meowth. Oh, their puns are on fire. In fact, they exclusively talk in puns. But here's the thing though with Team Rocket. I love them, but this film is so tonally inconsistent because with the Mewtwo stuff, it's like this really, like the movie tries with Mewtwo in my opinion. Like he's going for this really meta plot about, a Pokemon slaves, like what even is the meaning of existence. Like he's going for really big themes, but then the film hard cuts to like Team Rocket and their antics, and it's just so tonally inconsistent.
Totally, yeah. And I personally think that affects the pacing. Like, in a couple points.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in a couple points, I just was like, come on.
But I don't think this movie, Brenton, is a good introduction to Pokemon.
Oh gosh, no.
I watched this recently with a mate who literally had never seen anything Pokemon in his life, and we were watching it together because I'm like, oh, we have to watch this with podcast, it'll be great. And then he watched it, and I'm like, did you understand this movie? He said, I understood the story, but with the world and all that, I was so confused. And I'm like, I can agree. I can see how this would confuse you because it doesn't explain anything.
No.
Because it's got a theatrical release, so I imagine there probably were people that rocked up to the cinema who knew fuck all about Pokemon. So
for a good time, yeah, and they were just like, "What the fuck?"
I know, and it hard cuts straight. The film opens with this weird like life documentary. Like it opens with like Mewtwo's creation as like a cloned Pokemon. I don't think that's a spoiler. It's literally the opening scene. And,
no.
And it kind of is like, what is life? We must understand the curiosity. You reckon like David Attenborough's just going to show up in anime form, but then it just like cuts to like just Pokemon, and you're like, oh, okay. Like it does nothing to bridge it. I almost feel like for people who wanted to know about Star Wars, this opens a little bit like Phantom Menace, where it just puts you in the middle and say, good luck.
Yeah, and I also feel like it doesn't actually introduce the characters because they've been introduced on the anime, like the three main leads. It's like, who the fuck are these guys? Like, we kind of get who Ash is, but the other two, you're just kind of like, what?
Yeah. Misty and Brock do not have that much to do in this. And Misty, I wish he had more. Brock, I wish he had less, like way less, because Brock is so creepy in this.
I mean, like he only has like one, like there's only like one plot line he's there for, and it's to point out that someone is in a place that they maybe shouldn't be.
Is that Brock's one thing?
Yeah, he recognizes someone, and that's why, in terms of the plot, that's what he serves.
One plot function. Yeah,
that's his one service. The rest is just.
He's so creepy. He's meant to be like some 14-year-old child or something like that, or maybe older. But he just keeps on hitting on every woman he lays eyes on, and he's so creepy. Oh, Brock is so creepy. Oh, I'm just in there, so I'm going like it's kind of funny because all the girls just dismiss him, and it's supposed to be like comedic relief, but it's just so weird. And Misty and Ash, who've been friends with him for a while, never call him out on it. They're just like, Brock, him and his bloody prowess.
Yeah, I know, right? They're just kind of like, that's nice. Moving on. Yeah.
I do like Ash, but I do feel his voice acting is kind of shitty, especially the dialogue. This script is
Diabolical. It's diabolical.
Yeah, there's one point where Ash is shouting at Mewtwo, and he's like, "I won't let you." I remember just rolling my eyes because I'm just like, "Fuck, like some of the lines of it are so stoic." Like, when they finally meet Mewtwo. And there's this woman who introduces him, and she speaks with the most like nonchalant, like, "This is Mewtwo, the most powerful of Pokemon. He's gonna rule the Pokemon. It's a Mewtwo." I'm like, God, lady, can you just put some character in it? Like, this is, you know what I mean? Like,
totally. I mean, like, in terms of the plot,
it's a mixed bag.
She's meant to be like indoctrinated or whatever. But
yeah.
But at the same time, yeah, she was one of the ones I mentioned that I thought the voice acting was a bit weak.
I agree with you in that. You know who was strong though? I really love Mewtwo's voice for it. I forgot how good he sounded.
Yeah, he sounded great, spot on.
He has this kind of weird, like, I don't know, like James Bond-esque kind of voice.
Yeah, but it's like
I will not be ruled by man. It was just like, yeah, it was. I liked it, but it was just like, so because of like because the rest of the caliber of the other voices, you're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, totally. I feel like he's still American though. Like, he's not like British. He's still like, what are you? Yeah, like, he's got a good voice. Is my point. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked his voice. Yeah, and it's good because I think that's why I really love the Mewtwo stuff. I thought because with this film, I really like the plot it tries to attempt, regardless of how it was executed. Because it is intelligent. Because especially if you do watch the TV show and you do follow it, this is a rewarding film, and it's beloved amongst fandom because it asks those questions about, like, okay, you've been watching this TV show that celebrates animals fighting each other in kind of like a cockpit kind of way, and it says, well, what if they gained intelligence? You know, how would, like, that metaphor of, okay, how would animals feel if they could suddenly fight back against what humans are doing to them? Like, you know, there's intelligent ideas behind it. But I feel like the plot and the movie just continues to contradict itself and undermine itself when it comes to approaching the story.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do agree with you. And I feel like it doesn't serve that thread as well as it could because it's more concerned with still being a piece of a story in the Pokemon world and being part of that anime, in which it has to like break the fourth wall. It has to, it can't be too serious. It can't follow that thread as far as it could probably go. So you feel like you're watching like two to three different movies at the same time.
Yeah, really, really, really good point. And like, yeah, I don't know. I was laughing a lot on this. It's really funny. I think it is very funny, even if you don't love Pokemon. I think, it's very so funny, Brenton. I love it. But yeah, like, I don't know. It's not like a landmark in animation. Like the shift, there's like 3D effects in this which look really bad.
Yeah, there was one shot in particular I looked at and I was like, ooh.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh dear, yeah.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. At the end of the day, what makes me love this movie is the Pokemon themselves. Like,
exactly. So this is my biggest conundrum because I want to rate this pretty soon.
Okay, yeah, let's obviously rate it.
My biggest conundrum with rating it is that I don't know if someone that isn't familiar with Pokemon would actually really enjoy this.
Yeah, it's tough because like it's like the Harry Potter films almost. You know, it's like trying to recommend Half-Blood Prince to someone who hasn't seen Harry Potter. It's like you got to be on board with these characters if you think you're gonna like this. You know, like
sure, yeah. I
don't know, like. I remember growing up, I met lots of people who didn't like Pokemon my age, and like it's an acquired taste. I think it is one of the most popular things. So like it is
for sure. It's taken over the world. It's nuts.
It has, and like I don't know. I feel like Detective Pikachu is going to do a lot of good work. If the movie's good, it's going to do a lot of good work in building back people's relationship with Pokemon. Because like this, by the way, this movie got like 20 sequels. Like every year, some animated Pokemon film comes out. Like
insane.
Like. It's insane, and I thought the first 3 were quite good, and I kind of dropped off after that because I'm like, I don't really care about these kind of Pokemon. But like, yeah, I'm finding it hard to rate it. It's not a good movie, is it, Brenton? It's not a good movie.
I don't think so, unfortunately.
If you love Pokemon, then obviously watch this. But if you do love Pokemon, you probably already have seen this. So like,
exactly.
I'm probably just talking to people who haven't seen Pokemon, who've listen to our podcast, who've seen Rocky and bloody The Exorcist and all that kind of stuff. I can't put a head on shoulders.
Is it at least worth the watch though? And I just can't.
On a Thursday night, 100% I would come home on a Thursday night and I would watch Pokemon. But
Same, but I feel like that's you and me. But I feel like at the same time, I really listen to your point in the sense of like, this is only worth watching as well if you've seen like the anime, because it's the payoff of kind of that season of the anime.
And you know what? It shouldn't be that. They should have used a theatrically released Pokemon film as a really good opportunity to really get some new people on board with this.
Yeah, totally.
Like, in the same way, I think Detective Pikachu is finally designed to do that 20 years later. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm so excited for that film. I think...
Same. And Mewtwo's in it, so maybe this will inspire people to want to come back. But I'm curious to see if Detective Pikachu gives people enough context to suddenly jump back into Pokemon the first movie and understand it.
I don't think it will necessarily.
No, because Ash isn't in it. It's a different like kind of take on it. So, yeah, I might have to give it a thumbs down. Like, I love it to death, but I just can't see. It's just not a good film in the sense of take away that nostalgia, take away my love of Pokemon. Strip it right down to plot, characters, all that kind of stuff. There's barely any arcs. Like, I can't do it.
I really hate to do this too, but I'm going to have to give it a thumbs down as well and I want to give it a thumbs up because I do love it. I do love it. But watching it, it's not a great film, and also, yeah, I just feel
is it as good as when you remembered it from being a kid?
No, it's not. But like, and it's and I feel like I just like it because I like the Pokemon, and that's not a good enough reason I feel to give it a thumbs up. So yeah,
and there are some good jokes in it, but
there is. There's a good moment in there too. There's a couple great moments in there too, but
I love it.
It isn't enough. So that being said, shall we let's spoil this movie, spoiling the movies, yeah.
Spoiler time.
So let's talk about. I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off and say. What do you think of that Pikachu thing near the end when Ash is basically...
Oh, you want to talk about the iconic scene from this movie?
Let's blasted the shit out of...
Because this is what we all remember from being kids, right?
Yeah. He gets blasted the shit out of by Mew and Mewtwo, and Pikachu...
What an idiot. What did he think was going to happen? Like, just running between the two, like, blasts at each other.
He runs over to... Pikachu runs over to him and starts, trying to revive him, and it's not working. And Pikachu starts to slowly cry and break down. And then, like...
Yeah, like I remember as a child, I cried in the scene. A lot of people cite this as the scene from Pokemon, the first movie. I felt more moved, honestly, with the opening scene than this, to be honest with you.
Really? I wasn't expecting to be moved by this, because I know what's coming. I've experienced it before. It's, it's talked about to death. But watching it again, I got goosebumps and I kind of teared up a little bit, like watching it, because it's like, it got to me and I was like, good lord, like this movie isn't great, and it's still got to me. And like when all the Pokemon start crying as well, and Charizard, fucking Ash's Charizard, like has the tear roll down its cheek as well.
But again, you don't have this feeling for these Pokemon unless you've seen the TV series and you know their relationship.
Exactly, because the whole Charizard Ash thing is like one of like the best relationships.
Like aside from a whole series arc, like the two of them.
Aside from like Pikachu and Ash, it's like Charizard and Ash, and like that whole relationship and how it builds over the course of the series.
When he saves him as a Charmander and all that kind of stuff. And it is moving. I was moved in that scene. I was upset, obviously, because Ash sacrifices himself and Mewtwo's like, oh, maybe all humans aren't shit. And I think actually Mewtwo reminds me a lot of Ultron, if that makes sense.
Sure,
like how Ultron was made by man and he's angry at his creators and he wants to end the world. And then like I feel like Mew would be the Vision or something like that, but he's like, oh, maybe not all humans are evil. Like, if Ultron had a redemptive arc, maybe Joss Whedon just took Pokemon the first movie.
Yeah, maybe he just watched it like over and over again, made the whole cast watch it, made, what's his name?
Robert Downey Jr. is like, why are we watching Pokemon?
James Spader's like, all right, I got it, I know what I'm doing now. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Joss.
Oh, Appreciate I'd pay to see James Spader do a Mewtwo. James Spader would make a great Mewtwo.
He would.
Actually, now I think about it.
He would.
He would be... Maybe he is in the new Detective Pikachu movie. Could you imagine if we predicted that? That'd be amazing. You heard it here first. James Spader is Mewtwo. First in movie. I know. I love the scene, but it made no logical sense.
No, it makes no logical sense in terms of the film, but in the world of the film. But yeah, it's probably the best scene in the movie, I feel. That being said,
emotional, but like also it's never brought up again in Pokemon lore. For some reason, Pokemon tears fly and can suddenly turn someone back from stone to like normal.
No, but here's the next thing I wanted to talk about as well. I think the lead-in's pretty shitty with that whole the song with the lead in, like the weird, like random musical interlude as all the Pokemon are fighting.
Oh yeah, that brother song. I hated that. I forgot that was in that movie.
Me too. That was shit.
It's so out of place. It's just like, it's just some like generic kind of like late 90s, like, why we all fighting? Because we're all brothers, even though we're animals. And they're all just like fighting about, and I'm like, I don't need this in this movie.
Dude, can we talk about Psyduck though? In
my God.
that fight scene,
Thank you. I laughed at the hardest at two scenes in this movie, and one of them was the Psyduck scene.
So it shows all these like battles, these epic battles going on.
It's like
between
Battle
these
the
Pokemon.
Bastards. It's
like,
all going chop shop
like
everywhere.
Pokemon clones versus the actual like real life Pokemon counterpart, and then
It's
Psyducks.
insane.
The Psyducks just kind of sidle up to each other, and then they just kind of hang there for a little bit, and they like pull, like they go Psy, and then one of them like just randomly slaps the other one in the face, and then they go oh, and then there's another delayed response, and the other one slaps the other one back, and they both go oh, and it's just the funniest thing.
Shit.
It's so
oh my
good.
God, I love it so much. I just want to, because it just comes out of nowhere. Because you see one like Charizard like try and chomp the neck off another Charizard. I thought it was going to go full Game of Thrones and there's going to be blood everywhere, and then you have these two ducks and one just bitch slaps the other, and it's so funny.
It's so funny
because there's something wrong with a side duck, almost with the point of they're going, is this supposed to be something, a metaphor for something? But and they're just standing there. Psyduck, this whole film is just the OP. Like, I just sort of the OP is like the MVP of this film, because like I love Psyduck so much.
Which is interesting because I think it's hilarious that in Detective Pikachu, the film coming up, but one of the female characters in it has a Psyduck that's like her like companion Pokemon that's like always out, and I just think it's hilarious that Psyduck is just one of those Pokemon that just pops up, and it's like I don't know how to even describe it. It's like, it's not lame enough to be like super lame, but it's still a bit lame, and it's still a bit kind of gangly.
I like to think he's like the Ralph Wiggum of Pokemon.
Sure, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
he's pretty great. I love him to death. Although one of my other favorite Pokemon is Mew. Just like the original Mew, because he's just having a blast this whole film. You know, he's having a good time. Actually, both him and Togepi. Togepi is just so happy this movie.
Yes, the whole movie.
Togepi's just losing the shit. But Mew, I like to think Mew is just really high this whole film, and he's just like, he's so stoned. He's had all the Scooby snacks, and he's just floating about, just not really aware of what's going on.
So that being said, can we have a discussion now? Actually, no. I'll add this section. This is a new section that will be added in after the spoilers.
Ooh, okay.
So let's talk about the opening, and let's talk about not the Mew scene, but I want to talk about how they use that opening song from the anime again. That random trainer rocks up and says, "I want to challenge you, Ash," and we just go into this opening montage of this fight, this battle, Pokemon battle, and that theme just kicks in, and it's kind of like a newish version, and it's just it's.
I hope that rocks up in the movie as well when Pikachu comes out. Like,
holy shit! Could you imagine if Detective Pikachu ends with the Pokemon theme from the anime, and it's just like it's almost like a 22 Jump Street moment that they just have this like intricate like end credits thing, and it's just like.
Oh, yes.
Here we go. Here's what you want. Like, fuck, I would lose my little mind. It would go crazy.
It'd be amazing. I love that opening scene where he battles him. I love it also when the dragon rocks a Dragonite, I want to say that Pokemon's name is, rocks up and has the little in. Yeah, the little
yeah. That's Dragonite.
Because he almost like kills them all when he first lands, which is funny, and it'd be great if that's how the film opened. But then like he hands this little invite, and in it is like a high school crush note that just says like tick yes or no. And I love it because they have like the tick yes or no if they're coming, which is just so stupid. But then when they finally get to the island, it's never brought up if they have the yes or no thing. Like,
no, it's just, do you have your invitation? And he pulls out his like high tech holographic like invitation. It's so funny.
Because it's never brought up. I just like to think that maybe Dragonite was like having a crush on someone, and like that was like a crush yes or no tick box thing. Like
that's so funny.
I love that so much. I love also when James is spying on them and he says, "I'll settle for Pikachu."
Those
are my favorite puns.
Yes, because he's hungry. Yeah. Oh my god. Oh my God.
Oh, I love that so much. I just thought that was fantastic. Yeah, I love it. Oh, speaking of James has some of the best lines in this movie. I love it when they're trapped in the lab, and there's a section where suddenly he's like, "Who's that Pokemon?"
Oh my gosh, it was so funny. Who's that
twice.
Pokemon? Yeah,
It happens
so
twice
good.
because later on in the film, there's like this big old fight scene or whatever, and it cuts back to Team Rocket in like the lab, and they're literally, and like all the clones are going in, and they're literally just doing "Who's that Pokemon?" They're just like recognizing all the figures.
Oh, it's so funny. So funny.
I forgot that was in the movie.
Hilarious.
Because it's when Ash goes down to say Pikachu, and I was waiting for the scanner to suddenly get Ash's DNA, and it's just like a weird silhouette of Ash, and they're like, "Who's that Pokemon?"
So yeah, let's go back before the opening then, and let's talk about like the prologue, kind of this film, which is the Mewtwo.
Yeah,
that was
which
all
I think
great.
is the
I thought it was
strongest.
awesome. I thought it was awesome.
It started
Like, what a
off
great
well.
intro.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
completely agree with you.
he unleashes, and then he goes under Giovanni's wing, of course, and then
which if you've never seen the TV shows, you have no idea what the hell's going on already.
yeah, again, you're like, who the hell's this guy? Yeah,
I forgot about Giovanni.
and his name's
Isn't there like a weird like tension thing between Meowth and his cat? Like,
Well, yeah,
like
'cause-
Meowth was
'cause-
rejected or something like that.
because Persian is like the evolution of Meowth.
That's right. Yeah. Does that mean like Meowth is like a Neanderthal and like Persian's like a human? Like,
Oh, I love that. I love that Pokemon. I think it's a cool one, as well.
but I love that montage. I love that when Mewtwo's just like, having the balls run at him and he's just psychically, doing all the balls, and like I thought that was an amazing montage.
Yeah,
Although,
same.
It's a wonderful sequence, and you see him like being like, I'm not. It's like the film Prometheus. He's like, I will not be held to my creators anymore. I will find them and burn them and all that kind of stuff. But like the film, but the montage ends with Giovanni rocking up or whatever his name is, and they have the really shitty dialogue where he's like, I will make you the most powerful, and Mewtwo's like, but I am the most powerful. He's like, follow me, like. And they're standing in the fire. I know. I
Totally.
didn't buy that part.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. But overall, I thought it was a good prologue.
No, I thought it was sharp too. Might be this one of the stronger scenes, but yeah. Can we talk about this moment in the movie, which was one of my favorite moments, which is when they get this invitation to go to this island for this Pokemon tournament, and like there's like hundreds of these Pokemon trainers rocking up to a ferry dock, and there's this storm going ape shit outside, right? Mewtwo's controlling the weather, which I forgot he could do. And there's like the policewoman, and then there's this random ass chick whose accent I cannot pin down. I have no idea what the hell she's supposed to be, but she's like, but the policewoman is like, oh, you can't go on the ferry, the weather's too bad. And then everyone's like, oh, how come? And then this random woman goes into this like 2-minute long story about like this mythical legend of like this prophecy.
I know, right? Yeah, that's so out of place, so random, and you're
I'm
just
just
like,
trying to
what?
imagine. Imagine if in real life, Brenton, you're going to catch a ferry from like, I don't know, like Australia to like, I don't know, somewhere else. And imagine you got to the ferry dock and it's like, oh, it's closed now. You're like, oh, how come? And this chick just started like spurting off this yarn. You'd be like, what? It's like, I just want to know why I can't go on the boat, not to hear this fucking story. Like,
yeah. I don't really have much else to say about spoilers because I feel like it's a short film. I mean, like, I like the redesigns of the clones, of like the 3 clone evolutions of the starters. Like, they have like the cool like little symbols on them and stuff. But yeah.
No, I was a big fan of that. I thought, talking about Mewtwo though, I thought he was right. Pretty much. I thought like he was in the right this whole film. How about like, because Pokemon are slaves in that universe, and like, they should be free, and they shouldn't all be built into battles. He's making all these great points, but I also found it so hypocritical because he says we should stop having Pokemon fight, but then Mewtwo went to the trouble of when he made this island to build a Pokemon arena.
Yeah, and his whole plan was to make them all fight to show that his ones were superior, which was just...
It's so hypocritical. It's just... I don't understand it. Also, actually, you know what I love about... Speaking of Pokemon and violence, I love it when Mewtwo, like, they first meet Mewtwo, and then, that Mewtwo, like, throws that guy into the air with his psychic powers.
I know, right?
I really wish then and there he just, like, viscerally made him explode and blood just spluttered everywhere.
And it was just like, bah! The kids all, like, start screaming and crying in the cinema.
I'd love to see an R-rated Pokemon property. But no, but when in that moment happens, Ash calls out Charizard, and Charizard jumps out of the Pokeball, and then just immediately barbecues Mewtwo. And then Ash says to Charizard, wait a minute, Charizard, I didn't tell you to start then. And I really like to think, because of that line, that there's been multiple incidents where Ash has called Charizard, and for some reason Charizard's just flamed the nearest thing to it. And there's like
All
a
the
really
possibilities
dark
of things
backstory.
that could go wrong. Yeah.
Ash is like, shit, that's the 5th time that's happened. Like, there's just like a line
Shit.
of bodies of this child with this. Who would give a 12-year-old child a dragon? Like this is asking for trouble. You know what I mean?
Hey man, if I was a Pokemon trainer, I would want a Charizard straight away, basically.
I actually thought about this in real life. Like, if you had, in the real world, if you could have one Pokemon, what would it be?
Okay, so this was the new section I was going to start, so let's just...
Oh, really?
Yeah, let's start the new section, and that is... What is your favorite Pokemon? So, yeah. I guess in a real-world scenario, I'm just trying to think... Because I know who my favorite is. I kind of want a side
duck just to slap my friends whenever they say shit.
I know.
Could you imagine if it's this pet duck who just like whacks someone?
Like, I know who my favorite Pokemon is, like for sure. Like, and if I in the real world, if I like had like a companion Pokemon that was always out of the Pokeball, it'd be this guy, and that is actually Raichu.
Oh, really?
The evolution of Pikachu.
What do you use Raichu for in the real world?
He's so much better than Pikachu that it's like crazy. I don't like. I just want to, hang out with Raichu rather than Pikachu. Fuck Pikachu.
Okay, great. You've got to evolve Pikachu, whatever. But in the real world, what the hell would you use an electric mouse for?
It's an electric mouse, dude.
But you're not gonna have it like just stand by your house and power it. Like that's just like.
Okay, well. Okay, here you go. In the most recent games, is like there's an Alolan version, which is one of the
in the real hardcore lore of this fandom.
Fuck off. There's in the Alola
this character actually does this. Like.
In the Alola region in the Pokemon universe, so that's Pokemon the game Sun and Moon. You can get a Raichu, and once it evolves into Raichu, it becomes like it has like a different version of it. So not only is it like an electric type Pokemon, but it's also a psychic one as well.
Okay, so what can it do with its psychic abilities?
It reads fucking minds. Be like, hey,
okay,
Raichu.
It can read minds, but all I know is that it can just say the words Raichu, Raichu. So it can hear what you're thinking, but then just reply with that. Even if you wanted to say, okay, what's my girlfriend thinking? It'll just spurt back Raichu.
To be fair, in the Pokemon universe, these things seem to say like their names, and every single human seems to be able to understand them.
Yeah, I've never understood the logic of that, because there's one point in this movie where Meowth like translates for everyone, and I'm like, can you understand these Pokemon or not? Like, I'm so confused.
Well, Ash is always like, oh, Bulbasaur, and it's like, Bulbasaur, and he's like, oh, Bulbasaur, like, blah, blah, and it's like Squirtle, and it's like, Squirtle, and he's like, oh, yeah, how's your tax files going? And he's like, Squirtle, and it's like, oh, that's great.
I just like to think of it like how people can understand their dogs a little bit. Like you can understand when a dog's upset or hungry or going through existentialism. The basic stuff.
Totally. Yep.
Oh no, the Pokemon I would have, I'd want to use one for transport. I'd have like a bloody dragon Pokemon, or like maybe I'd have a Jigglypuff and take it to karaoke night. I don't know. Like,
what about? All right, so I mean,
I'd have a Mr. Mime and just take it to clubs and just dance with it. I reckon that'd be fun.
Yeah, that would be fun. What other ones?
Maybe just have like a pet Markip and just like just have it grow into a Gyarados, but don't change the fish tank.
Oh my god! I feel like out of like the dragon ones, like you'd want Charizard, but like even
Charizard's a hazard though. Like Dragonite's chill. Also has a pouch, so it's easier to fly in.
What about like Fearow or like or something like that?
Yeah, I could get around that.
I mean, like Fearow.
I don't want a bloody rainbow to trail behind me every time I fly.
Fearow only makes one appearance in this film when he has like the bloody camera around his neck that's like spying on Ash. And
that's right.
Yeah, and he's like flying overhead, and I was like, oh, it's Fearow, good old Fearow. Because
classic.
Fuck Pidgey. Fuck. I said fuck Pikachu. Fuck Pidgey. Pidgey's the other one. Fuck Pidgey.
Wow, where did this vendetta against certain Pokemon come from, Brenton?
Because they're just boring. They're the boring ones. The ones that like everyone has, and it's like, oh, great.
Yeah, because they're the bloody starters. What's your starter? Which one do you choose out of the three?
Which generation? The first generation?
First, yeah. I bet you're a Charmander dude, aren't you?
It's hard. Yeah, it's either a Charmander. It is a Charmander or a Bulbasaur.
Nah, man, Squirtle's where it's at.
Squirtle.
Yeah.
With those sunnies on, just like,
100%.
With those shades, yeah.
Oh. Squirtle Squad, love it. I wish the Squirtle Squad rocked up in this movie. Just like Mewtwo's about to invade the world, and they just bring them back, all of them. Just like,
can you imagine like how awesome that would be? That'd just be great. I love the ghost Pokemon as well, like the 3 original ghost
Haunter
Pokemon
and that kind of stuff. Like.
Haunter's the best. Haunter's my favorite, but everyone loves Gengar.
Gengar?
Yeah, everyone loves Gengar, and like they're all cool. Like Ghastly's cool as well. But
I love the names as well. That's one of the most genius things about Pokemon is the English names, I reckon.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I love at the start of this movie when you see Alakazam and his little spoons get bent.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I'm like,
so funny.
not poor Alakazam. He's great.
His spoons get sped back and he just gets thrown back. He's like, "Brr," and he's like, I was the most powerful. It's like, not anymore, bitch.
I remember when I was a kid when I got Alakazam as a Pokemon card, I was like, fuck yeah. I was so excited. I was like, I got Alakazam, bitch. Oh, speaking of Pokemon cards, I remember in our school, this is a random tangent. I remember in our school, there was like a whole black market in primary school for Pokemon cards. Do you remember this?
Yes, I do.
It was I remember in year 5, there was this one girl called Matisse who was in the grade below us, and for some reason she was like the Marlon Brando of the Pokemon black market. And I remember she used to sit out, I'm not making any of this up, she used to sit outside the art classroom in our primary school, and she would have on her like maybe like 200 Pokemon cards, and she'd have have it sitting on a chair next to her. And I remember individual students would come up to her and there'd be like a literal line, and people would offer up their Pokemon, and she would potentially do a swap. She came from that kind of rich family who just had bought like all of the Pokemon, and so she would have every card possible and would just hand them out.
That's crazy.
And I remember at one point, because I was quite avid collecting Pokemon cards, I rocked up to school like half a year later with like more cards than her, and I was very, very excited about it. And it was like me as a rival gang member rocking up. And she looked at me and she's like, "Are you disrespecting me with my Pokemon?" And I was like, "Look, I just want a Charizard, man." She's like, you will not get tribute from me this week, my friend." And then right as she was usurped by me as the new Pokemon black market head, then the head of the primary school came out saying Pokemon cards were banned from school. And I'm like, fucking hell, they've just shut down the black market, Brenton.
Ugh, awful. But hey, all that being said, I have a question for you.
Yes?
What stills this movie?
Alright, so in this segment, Brenton and I screenshot a funny thing from this movie, an image that stands out above the rest, and we just talk about it because it's our favourite. And this week, okay, so I said I laughed the hardest in 2 parts of this film. One was when you see Psyduck bitch slap another Psyduck. The thing I laughed at the hardest in this movie is there's a scene where the storm hits and Ash, Misty, and Brock have to work out a way to get from like the mainland to the island. And then Team Rocket rocks up in some weird like Viking ass like Scandinavian like rowboat. And they're like, "Utial, just get into the boat, we get to take you to the island." And then they're like, "Fuck it, we'll go with these random Vikings that rocked up." And they're rowing about through the storm. It's like the most intense weather you've ever seen. It's just like, it's like the day after tomorrow when that cruise ship gets like turned over. It's like that kind of shit. And you see James and Jesse both are rowing about, and you're wondering where's Meowth. And then the camera pans, and you just see Meowth come into frame. And he's the fucking figurehead for this robot. And he's in this kind of like weird Viking helmet and this like blue dress, holding his hands together with some orange ass wig, with the most concerned expression on his face. And you watch him just get slapped by a wave. And it's the funniest thing you've ever seen.
His face is the funniest thing. He's got like the side eye going. He's just like, what the fuck? How did this happen? Like, how did I end up here? Like, it's so funny. Like,
it's so good. I literally have not laughed like that in such a long time when I saw him out. Because I want to know what the plan was. Like, if he just got the short straw and they're like, he's like, no, I'll just like hide under a blanket. And then Jesse's like, "We have this orange wig and blue dress, you'll get in." And he's like, "Ooh." And he's just sitting at the front of the boat. Because also, like, the scene goes for like 20 seconds, but I imagine they were in the water for much longer. So Meowth is just strapped to this boat. It reminds me of in Mad Max Fury Road when Tom Hardy's at the front of the car.
Yeah.
And he's just like, fucking hell, and he's trying to get out. Like, I just wish in Fury Road now there was just another car that drove past him with Meowth on the front.
Yeah, just like, oh god, here we are again.
It's like, oh, Twipe looks like I'm in Australia now. Like,
so Nathan,
great. Yes.
I have another question. How did they make this making movie Pokemon? Yeah. Shama.
So this movie was made quite poorly. In the English dub, they've actually misnamed some of the Pokemon, which I didn't even notice in the movie. But there's a point where they refer to several Pokemons by the incorrect name. Unless you're a diehard fan, you'd never notice. But Pidgeotto's called Pidgeotto, Scyther is called Alakazam, and Sandslash is called Slandshrew. And when they made this movie, and you know they mislabeled these Pokemon, they were aware of this, Brenton. So the producers picked this up before they released the movie, but they decided to leave it in because they wanted to see if the children would notice.
What the hell?
I know! Isn't that so stupid? Imagine if imagine if it's if you're watching like Avengers or something like that, and like Iron Man called like War Machine, like, I don't know, like Quicksilver, and just like everyone's like, what? And Kevin Feige's like, just let it happen.
That's so weird.
I know.
That's so bizarre.
It's so stupid. I love it though. It just goes to show, like, this was a weirdly made film. Because, like, for example, the voice actor for Mewtwo, his name is, actually Jay Goed, but he was credited as Philip Bartlett. Because the guy who voiced Mewtwo is this theatrically trained actor. You know, he did quite well on Broadway. But he just was so embarrassed that he did this Japanese movie that he asked for a pseudonym.
That's hilarious.
And apparently he just didn't like recording it. He didn't like the movie. He was just ashamed to be a part of it. But then when the movie came out and it got all this attention from the fandom, he's now like redacted it and going, oh yes, I did love it the whole time. You know what I mean?
You can't do that. You either love it or you hate it.
Isn't there someone who did that for Star Wars? Like in the original Star Wars, there was an actor who loathed making it, but then as soon as it became a big hit, they're like, oh, I always believed in this movie.
Yeah.
Was it, I want to say it was like Alec Guinness or maybe like Tarkin or something like that?
No, I don't think it was Alec Guinness. It might have been Tarkin. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
One of them.
So, this is a fun fact. There was actual Pokemons given away in movie theaters for the USA release for the film.
What?
There were some rare Pokemon cards given away. There were...
I remember this! Because I remember there was like a Mewtwo that people got from this movie.
So the original film, there was Electabuzz, Pikachu, Mewtwo, and Dragonite, but the home video release also included a Mewtwo trading card, which I still have.
Do you really?
Yeah,
because I always wanted that card and I never got it, and I was
dude.
butthurt about it because I was just like, "This is a cool card,
dude."
Because it's like in the ruined tablet kind of form, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember this. I'd be very jealous of it. There's a funny thing in this movie I found through research where one of the trainers has a really tragic death that's never explained. So in that scene where Team Rocket is on the Viking boat about to pick them up, in the background is a Pokemon trainer hopping on a pharaoh bird about flying off into the storm. I don't know if you remember this.
That's right. Yeah.
You see him like hop on their boat and take off. But when we get to the island and all the Pokemon trainers have gathered, they don't rock up. So it's assumed that they died tragically in the weather.
Good lord. Yeah, now you say that, she doesn't actually rock up. Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty like, oh shit, okay, well, that's just not explained.
This is actually the highest grossing anime film of all time in the United States.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? I guess, yeah.
No, God, that's not surprising at all.
It only grossed 183. I'm just thinking about other animated films. Japanese anime films. Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably is. Really, Ghibli, Studio Ghibli, nothing from Studio Ghibli. Grossed high.
No. Like, Pokemon was insane, dude. Pokemon was the biggest thing.
There you go.
Still is.
It's kind of sad that Pokemon beat Studio Ghibli as far as box office goes. That's kind of sad.
I mean, yes, but, you know.
Yeah.
What you gonna do?
What you gonna do, Studio Ghibli? Take that, Totoro. Totoro versus any Pokemon, who would win?
The original Japanese story showed Mewtwo in a more favourable light, as feeling that it had no place in the world and so wants to earn its place. But the English dub opted to just make Mewtwo an emotionless tyrant who wants to destroy the world, a decision that both fans and critics criticised. In hindsight, the producers felt they made the wrong decision. So apparently in the Japanese version, he's a lot nicer, and it's more of like a personal...
like, I will get you, Mew. Yeah, because he's got this weird thing out for Mew, and Mew's just like fucking about making bubbles, you know?
But
like...
in the English version, he's like, yeah, I'm going to destroy the world. I don't need your help, Giovanni, for that. And it's like, holy shit, dude. It's like, what the fuck?
And it's also like Pokemon live on this world you're about to destroy. It's like, you know what I mean? Is it just going to be you just sitting on an empty planet? It's like...
Similarly, the fighting is wrong moral ending at the end of this movie. It only exists in this English dub. It doesn't exist in the Japanese version. Yeah.
That's interesting. I wonder how that would work.
I don't know. Yeah.
Well, hey, Should we look at this film's poster?
Yeah, why not?
All right. Well, okay. So for this week, I have 2 posters for us to look at because I have the posters that were released for the movie, both for the Japanese release and the English release, because I didn't know which one was more appropriate, because I think they both dropped at the same time.
So here's the thing, though, Nathan. They both suck.
They're very busy, these posters, aren't they?
Yep. They both suck. They're both shit.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of like... Which one do you like more? I kind of like...
Probably the American one, to be honest.
Yeah. I don't know. Again, these posters just don't sell the movie that well, in the sense that, if you know nothing about Pokemon, you just see this, whirlwind of color and just, I don't know. I reckon all you needed was just Pikachu. In the same way, for these Detective Pikachu posters, I think everything we're saying about this movie is just be Detective Pikachu instead.
I know, right? Look, yeah, there's a better poster here, and it involves a bunch of the Pokemon and maybe Ash. But that's all you need.
That'd be a great one. Could you imagine if they just had all 150 Pokemon in one poster, just all facing
Holy
the
shit,
camera?
could you imagine? And then, in the background, as a silhouette, there's just Mewtwo. And they're all kind of looking up to Mewtwo. Oh my god, yeah. That's it.
There we go. We've done
and
it.
dusted.
We've done it, Brenton.
Done and dusted.
Well
so that
done,
being
us.
said, shall we pass the power to the people? Let's pass it to the people, the power. Pikachu.
Alright, on Rotten Tomatoes, Brenton, I have something to announce. This is the lowest rated movie we have ever done on the podcast.
Holy shit.
The critics on Rotten Tomato gave it 15%.
Holy shit. Dude. Have they even seen Emerald City, though? You know what I mean?
That's amazing, because I think Emerald City was in the 30s or something like that. So this is half the score of Emerald City.
Holy
just
shit.
to prove on it. So it goes to show we were right saying no, because obviously critics are this is not a good film.
But the audiences liked it and gave it a 62%, so...
Yeah, which kind of even shows that even audiences are like, oh, this shit ain't Polish, you know?
Yeah, totally. But
I must say, in finding the reviews for this week, these are going to be some of the most entertaining reviews we will ever read out on this show.
I'm very excited.
Take it away, Brenton?
Yeah, I'd love to. Peter Bradshaw from The Guardian gave this a rotten review and says the film is humorless, boring, impenetrable, and with animation of such staggeringly low quality that it constitutes an insult to cinema goers of all ages.
I mean, is he wrong? I don't think it's humorless. I think it's definitely got some humor in it.
But he's pretty on point. It's yeah. Oh, but just think at the same time, you're paying full price to go to a cinema and see this when you could go and see a Disney film and the Disney Renaissance. You know what I mean?
I know. It's so true, Brenton. It's so true. Yeah, even now you can still there's a wide catalogue you could watch instead. Steve Simmels from TV Guide gave it a rotten review too. He said, "It's pretty hard to sit through this feature-length explanation of the wildly popular kids' cartoon series without having dire thoughts about late 20th century capitalism's apparently boundless ability to make people buy utter crap."
Oof. This is hard to comment on at the same time. It's because it's very loaded.
It's very I mean, he's kind of got a point in the sense that it kind of is a blatant commercial for Pokemon. It is trying. It is definitely trying to be more than just oh, look at these cute creatures, buy our merchandise. I think it is trying to be more than that, but you can definitely read that kind of response into this, can't you?
Princess Weeks from the Mary Sue gives it a positive review and says not only is this movie really good, but it actually raised some interesting philosophical questions about the nature of Pokemon. Yeah, true. That's true.
It did. And if it was a better movie, maybe... You know what? Okay, how would you improve this movie? I reckon they should have maybe cut out the Team Rocket thing and just had Mewtwo and just maybe have some adults in the film and and have them try and step in and be adults and take care of the situation, but then maybe they're philosophically... See, there was no philosophical counterpoint to Mewtwo's argument. There was no one who was arguing on the other side besides Ash saying violence is bad. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
So maybe if they had a philosophical debate, then it would have been interesting, but no.
Lisa Alspector from Chicago Reader also gives it a positive review and says the repetitive plot is essentially a string of excuses for fantastical combat sequences, but somehow several characters' insistence that violence is bad doesn't come off as hypocritical.
Because I thought it did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Like Ash is like, don't fight. And I'm like, dude, you've made your living on Pokemon fighting. It's like, you can't be throwing this kind of stuff around. Jeffrey M. Anderson from Combustible Celluloid didn't like it. He said, if you're over 10 years old, I have 4 words for you. See Princess Mononoke instead.
Yeah, look, Princess Mononoke.
It would have come out at
great.
the same time, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's great. It's awesome. It's
pretty
a great
great,
movie.
isn't it?
It's pretty.
What do you prefer?
spectacular.
And it's a better movie, isn't it? By a mile.
Oh yeah, like what do I prefer over this and that? That with Princess Mononoke.
Could you imagine if that rainforest stag just rocked up in this Pokemon?
I mean, it's
movie?
basically a Pokemon, so like
It pretty much is. In fact, I'm pretty sure it is a Pokemon. I'm sure in the later generations there is like a stag Pokemon.
There
with, like,
is.
antlers
There
that
is.
can do shit.
There
Yeah.
is. Yeah. James Sanford from the Kalamazoo Gazette says, in the tradition of such drivel as the Care Bears movie and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it's essentially a commercial disguised as a feature film.
Isn't it wrong?
I feel like it's a bit more than that, though, to be honest. But, you know, sure.
Yeah. Also, one thing I just remembered, we didn't talk about the short film that precedes this movie, because every Pokemon movie comes with a short film. It's kind of irrelevant, because it's kind of like talking about a Pixar short film before a Pixar movie, right? It's like, it doesn't really have any bearing on the actual plot, so... But as a child, I remember loving the Pokemon short films.
Yeah, sure. Mac Verstandig, sorry, mate, moviereviews.org, gives it a rotten review and says there are only 2 explanations for why anyone could make Pokemon the first movie. Alien abduction or drugs.
Like, critics went to field with this one. I mean... Would it make some sense? Maybe. Like, could you imagine just like there's like if you play Pokemon the first movie backwards, it's got a hidden message saying, "Help, we've been abducted.
Help me,
by
we've been
aliens."
abducted by aliens." Holy shit, that's so funny.
Peter Stack from San Francisco Chronicle gave it a positive review. He said, "For the record, this isn't terrible. It's far from a milestone in Japanese animation and not an especially memorable entertainment. Yet it doesn't try to be either of those two things." So, like, I agree. I think what really pushed you and I over the edge is that it just doesn't do anything outstandingly well. Like, if there wasn't Pokemon in this, like, would it be a great movie? And no. Even with them, it isn't. No. But let's talk about the audiences, because Kevin O, he's got a fun one. You want
5 stars. Required viewing for all true connoisseurs of the cinematic arts. I assigned this film to all of my intro to cinema students as it perfectly encapsulates all that a filmmaker ought to strive for in their work. I still openly weep at Ash's selfless heroism and love for his Pokemon companions. Thanks, Kevin.
I'm glad to know film. Could you imagine, like, you're doing like first year film class, you have to watch like, you know, The Godfather and, you know, Blues Brothers, and then you get this. Jack B gave it 5 stars and he said, "This movie is better than Captain Marvel." No, Captain Marvel's better than this movie, mate.
Haven't seen it, can't comment.
You do you.
Jack C, 5 stars. A masterpiece of display of philosophy and morality. 10 out of 10.
John L gave it 5 stars and said, "It's not Citizen Kane, but it's a close second." The audiences love this, man. Like, they think this is the peak of cinema.
Dude, that's the funniest thing I've read. That's the funniest thing I've read in any, like, audience review. It's not Citizen Kane, but it's a close second. Holy
If you go to the Rotten
shit.
Tomatoes website, it is flooded with these type of reviews where people are just, like, non-ironically giving it just, like, roses, you know?
And finally finishing with Claudette A, 0.5 star. I couldn't get into Pokemon. However, I know it's a very popular character. I think they need to make an updated movie. Oh dear. Oh no. Oh god. And that is Pokemon the first movie.
That is Pokemon the first
Yeah.
movie. Mate, you know, what a way to enter our 50s after Rocky 4 to jump from that to Pokemon. I'm happy. I'm a happy
Dude,
man.
I can't wait to see Detective Pikachu though. Like, I'm so pumped to see it.
It's going to be amazing. It's going to be great. Even if it's shit, it's going to be great. In the same way that with this film, it's shit, but it's great.
Totally. But yeah, that's the episode, guys. Thanks so much for listening in.
Thank you for
appreciate it.
listening. What a fun time.
Fun time.
I hope you've had as much fun with us. I feel like it's like the end of Play School. It's like, and what did we learn today? It's like it's like Meowth at the end of the movie where he's like, maybe if you're born from different backgrounds, you still have to fight, you know?
Meowth. Such a philosopher.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You know what? We should just do a Pokemon battle right now because I've got my own Pokemon up my
Sure, I've got
sleeve.
mine ready. Go, Brenton, go! Brenton.
Come on, Nathazard, do it. Nathazard!
Brenton.
I probably shouldn't have done this inside my home. Bye, everyone.
Bye.